Aquarius, this is your week ahead astrology forecast by Born Without Boundaries, astrology motivation. In this video, I'm going to go through the major planetary aspects and transits and how they impact your natal sun and what that means for your day-to-day. This is for the week of May 31st through June 6th, 2023. We're going to start really broad with the things that are going to be impacting everyone. And then we'll focus down onto the things that specifically Aquarians should take note of. It doesn't mean they're bad. It just means that this is something special. And then we're going to break things down into the decans. A decan is a group of 10 degrees, and every zodiac sign has 3 of them because every zodiac sign is a total of 30 degrees. The reason why astrologers break things down into those 10-degree groups is because 10 degree is basically the limit of what can constitute the aspect or what isn't the aspect anymore, because it's greater than or less than. So it's like a 10-degree kind of radius that you can have to actually feel the impact of the aspect with another planet. An aspect is an angle to another planet. All of astrology is based on geometry. So an aspect is the angle to another planet, or the relationship that angle creates, the energy that it generates and how it impacts your day-to-day and your life. So you don't need to know exactly what degree your natal sun sits on in Aquarius, because all you need to know is your birth date to enjoy this video, because I'm going to give you the estimate of the relative dates that it will be impacting. But the best and most accurate way is to definitely generate a natal chart. You can do it for free online. All you need is your birth date, which you have already, your birth time and your birth location, and you can generate it for free, and then you'll know exactly which degree in Aquarius your natal sun sits on. So it'll make it more accurate. But like I said, all you really need to know is your birth date for right now, which I'm sure all you guys do. Let's start really broadly, Aquarius. We do have a full moon that's happening in Sagittarius. It's happening on between the 3rd and the 4th, depending on where you are on the globe. It is it's a pretty straightforward full moon. What does full moon in Aquarius mean? Full moon in Sagittarius mean? It means allowing yourself to expand and grow, and your emotional repertoire to get broader and be inspired by different things that are foreign to you, outside of your norm. Being curious, allowing yourself to be curious. It could even be that you become more adventurous, or that all of us do. Now, the special thing about this full moon is that it's going to be trine to Chiron. Chiron is an Aries, so Chiron is the teacher that teaches through suffering, the Sergeant Payne kind of energy, that sense of that hard-ass teacher that seeks to help you be more compassionate to yourself and to others through all the crap that you go through. So the fact that this is trine means that there's a harmony and a healing that comes from growing and expanding, and being able to finally maybe grow and expand and look outside your norm and adventure toward places that you haven't been before. It may be where you get solutions or answers, and it could also just be what you're capable of doing now that you weren't capable of doing before, because now you are healing and you're seeing the healing happening. So this is a great time to release toxicities that have held you back and made you too afraid to move forward in your life, so that you allow those opportunities to open up and actually maybe step through some doors. So we also have Venus. Venus is going to be transiting into Leo on June 5th. And what does that mean? Well, she's very gentle in Cancer where she is now, but as of June 5th, she'll be in Leo. And Venus in Leo is pretty tough because she demands attention and she demands affection. She's extremely loyal and she loves to give attention and affection too. Can be a little bit shallow, and definitely can be a little bit spendthrifty, like spending too much, like to sort of show off. That kind of energy. But for you guys in particular, Aquarius, since she's heading into Leo over the course of the next 4 weeks, all of you will eventually get her in direct opposition to your natal sun. So it won't happen to you all at once, but you'll definitely feel at one point or another some kind of tension that's created around your value systems, your relationships because of your value systems, your attractiveness or what you're attracted to, dynamic changes with your finances or income, something going on with that. It doesn't have to be terrible, but it doesn't have to be horrible. It could be good, but it will be surprising and it will be not necessarily in your control. So we'll talk about that and which ones of you are going to be impacted this week, because there's a group of you that are. We also have Mercury conjunct Uranus all week long, which tends to be very fun, very wily, very tricky, very, very potent in its ability to surprise everybody, but there is a sense of genius to it. So this playful energy can kind of break through in a lot of different ways and really could surprise you. There could also be some major tech announcements or major tech delivery. So we'll see how that plays out, but that is definitely going on. And big point to note, for those of you in Aquarius, or Aquarius 1, conjunct to Pluto, you're going to be opposite Venus. Pluto is going to be in opposition to Venus by the, I think, 1st or 2nd of this week of June. So there will be definite tensions and changes and extremes happening. Now, not all of you will experience that because not all of you have your natal sun conjunct to Pluto. Pluto's at 0 degrees Aquarius, so it's only on the cusp of Capricorn, really. But all of you will eventually get Venus opposite your natal sun, and we'll talk about that. But Venus opposite your natal sun conjunct Pluto is a lot more extreme, and we're going to have to get into that when we get into the decans. So there still is a Jupiter square to Pluto as well, which means everything is more extreme and everything is being just sort of blown out of proportion. So when it happens, it's definitely not subtle, and it's probably more dramatic than it has to be, just an FYI. Now, what is going on specifically with your ruling dignitaries? Because they will always sort of color your kind of background emotion, like how you're vibing for that week or that month. So you have Uranus as your modern ruling dignitary and Saturn as your traditional ruling dignitary, and neither of those planets move very fast. Saturn moves a lot faster than Uranus, but neither of them is a quick mover, which, you know, kind of speaks to your fixed nature. What's happening with Uranus is that conjunction with Mercury. Aside from that, aside from some run-ins with the moon, it is really this week doesn't really have aspects to anything else, but the conjunction with Mercury can make it more playful, more tricky, and definitely more social, surprising social surprises, getting messages that you didn't expect, thoughts or conversations that come up that are interesting and weird, or about interesting weird things that could be expected this week. We also have what Saturn is doing. So let's get into what Saturn is doing, because Saturn is doing a lot more. Saturn is going to move between 6 and 7 degrees Pisces this week. It is square to the sun by the 3rd of this week, by June 3rd. So what does that mean? It's just tough energy. It will affect some of you more than others, but it's a tough energy. It's an energy of not feeling necessarily confident about yourself, always arguing with feeling like you have to be super hard on yourself. Like if you're not super hard on yourself, you haven't earned it. And you could be overworking yourself and overstressing yourself out because nothing is good enough. It's like the perfectionism that's almost beyond perfectionism. It's like kind of obsessive, and that could really, so watch out for that mentality this week, and take a breath and take a break and take 5 steps back from your situation if you find yourself getting into that kerfuffle, because that energy is it's around, and it will be, the sun is moving pretty quickly, so it will be for the rest of this week, definitely into maybe next week, but just for the next day, week and a half, just watch that mentality and know that it's, oh, because the sun is squaring my ruling dignitary Saturn, and it's messing with me. It's making me feel like nothing is good enough. Could this create motivation to work harder? Sure, it will. But it's so exacting that it's almost like you're never, leave room to compliment yourself, leave room to take a breather, leave room to definitely use the energy to help you work harder, but not beat yourself up. Just an FYI. We also have a sextile to Jupiter this week. Jupiter conjunct the North Node. That's really good. So Saturn wants to expand. It wants to grow. There's business opportunities and job opportunities here. This is really good. It's going to be really hard on itself this week because of the square to the sun. Understand that this energy is very progressive, and that's a positive thing. And this sextile to Saturn is actually a lot long. It's actually going to last a lot longer than the square to the sun. No, I'm sorry, the sextile of Jupiter between Jupiter and Saturn is going to last probably, it's just going to last a little, like a couple for the next 3 weeks. So it's going to last longer than this square to the sun. This square to the sun is, Saturn square the sun is, might be your motivational push off. Just don't push yourself into the ground. That's all I'm trying to say. Let's go into the decans. So if your natal sun is between 0 and 9 degrees Aquarius, you are an Aquarius 1. This usually equates to Aquarians that are born in January. So anybody born between January 22nd and say the 31st of January is definitely an Aquarian 1. Capricorn cuspers are 100% Aquarian 1. You guys are Aquarius 1, you are you are conjunct to Pluto, and you will be conjunct to Pluto. And even when Pluto retrogrades back into Capricorn, if you are an Aquarius but Capricorn cusp, your life is changing now. You're entering into a dynamic period of change that you will never change back from. This sounds like nihilistic, but it's not. It's just like the butterfly is beautiful, right? It never changes back into the caterpillar. This is a turning point in your life that you'll be experiencing for the next 2 or 3 years. So, or longer, because Pluto moves very slowly. I mean, just ask your Capricorn friends what they've been through over the past couple of years. In fact, if you're really close friends, you've probably seen the dynamic change that's happened in them and to them. So for better or worse, this is where you're at right now. That's long term. We also have a long term sextile to Neptune, especially if you are at the cusp. Only the cuspers really are going to experience this. This is a very creative time for you. This is when you're creating like crazy, creating like a genius, and let that expression come through you because you're very harmonious, you're very melodic, you're very, very musically and melodious. So use it, because these new skills or these new interests will definitely bring you somewhere and open up opportunities for you next couple of years. You are square to Jupiter this week because Pluto is square to Jupiter. So what does that mean? It means that everything is kind of extreme. You'll take everything like over the top. It's just this energy of relentlessness, which could be good. It doesn't have to be bad, but it's also a sense of relentlessness and maybe ruthlessness. You don't want to go there. I think overall it's just an energy of taking things way bigger and way more extreme than they have to. So just be aware of the melodrama or the propensity for being melodramatic right now, just an FYI. This week in particular, if you are at the cusp, so the Capricorn Aquarius cusp, you're going to have an opposition to Venus this week. By the 1st of this week, you'll start to feel it. And Venus, like I said in the beginning, is going to hit every single one of you, but it's Aquarius ones that it's going to hit this week. You'll start to feel these pangs and restlessness and maybe even destruction of relationships or financial situations, really shit hitting the fan kind of energy. So this is something that we really, really, really need to be aware of and be wary of this week. We also need to be aware of the constant, more consistent all week long opposition to Mars. That's right. All Aquarian ones are in opposition to Mars, and that could mean greater injury, greater chance of injury, greater impulse because of impulsivity, because of more fighting or more anger, being quick to anger. Once again, this is a week where you guys have to be aware of just sort of, it's not as extreme as it seems. Take a breath, take some time out, give yourself some space. You've just got a lot of tension and a lot of intensity happening to you right now. So please be aware of that. This is not a great time to change your look, change your modality. You could be getting into fights or arguments over not feeling good enough or sexy enough, or this could definitely compromise your self-esteem and compromise your relationship this week if you believe the negatives that this energy could lead you to believe. Don't do it. Step away from that and take care of yourself. Give yourself some space. Give yourself some time. This is a big old FYI. Aquarius 2s. So this is you guys who are born basically in the first week and a half of February, I would say. Say from the 1st to the 10th of February. This is y'all. Your natal suns have been sextile to Chiron for quite some time, which means there's opportunities, or you're finding a way to translate pain and suffering into opportunities for healing and growth, and to help other people heal and grow as well. And by opportunities, yes, I do mean even in work, what you do, your vocation. You'd be really inspired by this. Like, this would be game changing for you. It sort of becomes your life purpose. This has been going on for the past couple of years, and you'll be experiencing it for the next year. So definitely work through this pain, work through this suffering, work to allow it to inspire you, and trust where the inspiration is taking you, because now you become sort of a messenger for helping other people heal as well. This week, by the 4th, you guys are going to be square to Mercury. If you are born on the 9th or 10th of February, probably all week long. Squares to Mercury are like their own mini Mercury retrograde. This is when communications just get fouled up. This is when emails don't get sent. This is when the car pops a tire. FYI, just know that. It's going to feel like Mercury retrograde, even though Mercury isn't in retrograde, but because Mercury is also conjunct Uranus, shit's going to surprise you. It's going to come out of left field. You can't really do anything about it, but just be aware. Don't beware, but be aware, so that you can hopefully use a sense of humor to laugh about it. And then your natal suns are trine the sun. So ultimately, there is this beautiful sense of self this week that will help you probably use humor to get through these square to Mercury energies that you'll be experiencing. But sextile to Chiron and a trine to the sun says that you are growing and accepting aspects of yourself and learning to love who you are, and finding it very easy to shine in front of people. So definitely enjoy that aspect of this week. And then what do we have? Okay, so since the sun is in Gemini, I just want to say this. It's very social energy. You're making new friends. People want to be friends with you. They want to listen to you. So this is a great time to do that. Or to teach people things, because Gemini is about education and learning too. Aquarius 3s. So you guys your birthdays will be probably between the 11th and I think the end of the month. So the end of, what is it, February 20th, February 19th, 20th. I think Pisces begins early, since February is a short month, but it's around there that you guys will go right up to the end of Aquarius season. Definitely if you're Pisces cusps. One long-term aspect is that you are square to Uranus, but by the 5th of this week, you will be square to Mercury as well, because Mercury is conjuncting Uranus all week, but it is finally shifting into the 3rd decan of Taurus by that time. So this is your own mini Mercury retrograde. Shit's just going to be coming out of left field. Things are going to be irritating you and frustrating you. and it's, Uranus has been squared to your natal sun for a while, so there's a sense of tension with oddities and feeling frustrated, maybe even with tech every day. That's long term, but with Mercury exacerbating that this week, it's just gonna feel like the shit's hit the fan. Just an FYI. Also this week, there is a quincunx to Venus. Cusps will feel this all week long. Pisces cusps will feel this all week long. But for the rest of you, it'll come toward the end of the week when Venus enters Leo. So, which is around the 1st, June 1st. What does this mean for you guys? Well, in conjunction, not in actual astrology conjunction, but in conjunction, in connection with Mercury squaring your natal sun, you know, this could be some serious, like, tumultuous conversations when it comes to your relationship. Frustrating energy that comes up around finances, discussions that you have that frustrate you, information that you learn that frustrate you, or interferences through tech with those things because of those things. So just be wary of that, and just be aware that those things are going to come up. And it doesn't mean they're lying or deceptive. It just means that it could be revealing stuff that will absolutely frustrate you. So take a deep breath and do whatever you have to do to be as secure as you can be, and remind yourself of your worth, because it just could get very frustrating, especially with Venus exacerbating that frustration. Just an FYI. You guys let me know in the comments below how this energy is impacting you. Please don't forget to subscribe over here and help this channel grow. Like this video, and then come on over to your week ahead tarot card reading on Born Without Boundaries Tarot. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye, Aquarius.